Okay, go.
Recording in progress. Well, hello, Karen.
Hello. Welcome back.
Welcome to a chat with Carol and Lou.
Yeah.
And we want to broach the subject of spirituality, religion, and God. The big G word. And I love the fact that you were saying, we were having a chat before this. You were saying that you had had your tea with your friend, and your friend had said, you said you were going to do a chat with Lou, and your friend said, oh God, keep it good, we don't want you getting arrested, right? And that really makes me laugh, because
Yes.
a few years ago, in my wisdom, I wrote a spiritual blog called Musings of a Wild Woman. And we were talking about it, and it was about my life, and it was about everything that happened. And because a really, really ridiculous Protestant powerful man was very upset about me being the way I am, he ended up telling the police that me writing about my life was like harassment and persistent, and he called me a terrorist and everything. My friends were like, oh, you're a love terrorist, because it's love all over it. But it intimidated him so much that actually that's what actually happened. Like what your friend said, I couldn't believe it. I was in a situation where, as a spiritual, highly connected spiritual person, some person got really and he got a load of other people involved, but this is often the way, with a lot of men in churches, when a woman comes on the scene, like the witch hunts and all that, there, like, this is what they've done.
Well, if you go right back to the 1300s and before, sure, they brought in the heresy law.
Yeah, well, my blog was called Musings of a Wild Woman. It wasn't called Facts. Everything I say is fact. It was called These Are My Thoughts.
Yes.
I had to explain to the police, these are my thoughts. Have you read? And then they went, oh, there's nothing to see here. Oh, sorry. But I had to go through that process, like being intimidated, being abused, being mistreated, being bullied, because they were so scared of a woman who was very spiritual and who was being authentic and expressing her authentic self. And at that time, like, I work as a therapist, I had to tell my clients, all my clients, I'm being investigated for my blog. And they all were laughing their heads off.
Yes.
But it's fun. It's not, but it's because that is still happening.
Because nothing has changed. And powerful women are still seen as witches.
Oh, yeah.
It hasn't changed in the church. It hasn't changed in society. It's still there. I mean, a local church here, I do believe, a while back, showed videos on Reiki and told people to stay away from it because it was evil. So it hasn't changed.
Witches, there's a song, about witches. It's like woman in total control of herself.
Exactly.
We're not
meant to be. We're meant to be getting looked after by a man so that we're kept in control. Married is to contain us so that we can't be out there doing whatever we want. We have to be at home doing the dishes and in the kitchen and being submissive. So women are starting to get more and more in touch with their divine feminine, and they're becoming powerful.
What do men think the divine feminine is, though? Why are they so scared? Like, what do they think? What do they actually think we're going to do? We're going to clear their energy.
We can't really know for sure. I would say they find it very scary. They think we're going to get up and become extremely powerful like we once were. And then we'll have to remember that women weren't always submissive. Patriarchy wasn't always in charge. But because they were so fearful of what women were capable of, they had to get rid of it.
Yes. But again, what do they think? What are we going to do? Like, you don't hear that many. It's not women with power that usually ruin everything. It's,
No,
you know, it's not women in power that, you know, blow each other up a lot of the time.
no,
It's not women that are killing on the massive scale. Like,
no.
what do they actually think is going to happen if women become empowered?
They believe that men will lose their power,
They'll lose
that
their
we will
power
take their power off them.
and be like them.
Maybe.
Ugh, we're
They have
not.
no other vision, have they? The only vision they have is that power is control and control is money. And what would happen if we got powerful enough to remove that from them?
But there's a lot of men who aren't like that. There's
Yeah,
a lot of good men. Like, there are a lot of good
there
men.
are.
You
Yeah,
know,
but
the
they're
man
not
who
in charge. Good men don't run things.
yeah, but the man who abused me was a very bad, like, just actually, he was a very, I actually think the reason he was intimidated was because I was smart,
Mm,
I was intelligent. Now, I find that that has placed my intellect.
yeah,
If you're around really weak men,
yes. Well,
cannot
I was once
handle.
told that I only studied to make somebody look stupid. And that
Uh,
was a man. Yeah,
yeah,
that's
well,
the only reason.
you know, you want to go listen, love, right? I know you think that I'm here just to fucking wreck your head, but I've other things to be at that just
Exactly.
study until make you look stupid.
Yeah, and it's not the powerful men maybe that are afraid of the divine feminine. Maybe it is those weaker men.
No, it is. I think it's definitely, if you have children, if you have a daughter, or if you women in your life you love, you want
Yeah,
them to succeed. You want them to it. You want them to be free. You want them to have good, loving relationships. And if you
yeah, you
don't
do.
want that, then you have a problem on a spiritual level,
Yeah,
whether you're a man or a woman.
yes. But you want them to have a man who will look after them and who will help them become their best self.
Yes. A
Yes.
true love.
I have watched my daughter go from one to the other and seen the difference. Right?
Yeah.
Her first husband didn't build her up at all. She left him and she's with somebody now who does his utmost to make sure she achieves all she wants. And she has achieved a lot with
Oh,
him beside her. Absolutely amazing. And then you see the difference. Yeah. So that is what any mother would want. Yeah.
yes. But there's a lot of men, I think, who need healing.
Yes.
And I think, you know, I don't know, I'm a firm believer in relationships now. This is not
Yeah.
in any way condoning any forms of anything. I think everybody should be treated with respect, dignity, compassion, love. Everybody
Yes.
deserves to be loved.
Yes.
Sometimes I think, like, I look at relationships that didn't work. People meet somebody at almost the unhealed level they're at times.
Yes. But
Do you know?
quite often people meet. Now, this is something I read a while back and I thought it made a lot of sense. If you haven't done all your shadow work and you've dismissed your shadow side,
Yeah.
you will attract someone that carries that shadow side.
Yes.
And that, to you, that means they're your other half. They carry your darkness and you carry your light. So that works for a while. Only you've already rejected that darkness. That's why you have to attract it outside. So eventually you will see that darkness in them and you will reject them because they represent that darkness again.
Mm-hmm.
So until someone has done their complete healing and took and integrated their shadow side,
Yeah.
they'll keep getting into that kind of relationship. And I think one of the words they use for it now is a trauma bond. They become addicted to the trauma.
Trauma bond and codependency and
Codependency, abusive relationships, narcissistic. They're all over the place because people are not healing themselves first.
Yes, and what is the attachment styles? They're often another way of looking at it. But I also think, you know, the thing is, I say this with men, right, with men and women, like, and there's these are big generalizations, but there are different ways of relating. And
Yeah.
it's not all men are like this and all women are like that. But the male brain, I often think women are often a lot more reflective. There's a lot more emotional intelligence, for rightly or wrong. It's often we're told we're crazy because we're too emotional or too this.
Yes.
But that's not really maybe always not, it's not always the case with men. They're maybe not as reflective of the inner world. So they're, because historically they're more interested in the outer world. So historically they would have been interested in where's the threat, where's the physical threat.
Yes.
Or now they might be like, who's got the power and who do I need these social relationships with?
Yes, yes.
So they may be less inclined to reflect on themselves and their behavior.
And their family and their home.
Yes. And
they're too busy trying to get a better job at work or mix with the right people, as you say, so they neglect the household.
Yes.
That was my experience.
Yeah.
And it's the experience of a lot of people, a lot of women. The husband goes to work 7 days a week because he's trying to impress the work.
Yes.
Or he just becomes addicted to it to avoid the intimacy of home. You know, there's many reasons, but that's quite common for them to work 7 days a week.
But I also think with my going through a divorce myself, I think we both didn't accept each other the way we are, so we were both wanting the other to change. Now,
because that's because you both needed healed.
Yeah, so
you were reflecting it onto the other.
Yes.
You were trying to fix it in each other instead of fix it in yourself.
Yes. So it comes to a point where you're like, you know, yeah, but it's about taking responsibility for the parts that we played. Like we might we might be only 20% responsible for it, but we've got to,
you know, got to fix that 20%.
Yes.
Yes. But if you step back from any relationship, which I have done, and do your healing. Now, it took me many years, but I have done my healing. I've took my shadow on board. I know who I am.
Yes.
I know my dark side. I know my light side. I know my skills. I know everything about me. But I need to meet someone in the same place.
Yeah.
So that we add to each other and don't pull each other down.
Yes.
But you cannot have that unless both people have done their healing. Right? Yeah. That would be a perfect relationship, and it would be filled with love. There's nothing else there when you've healed yourself.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So if men refuse to take responsibility for their part and heal themselves, how can that happen in society?
Yeah.
So men need to take more responsibility. When a marriage breaks up, women tend to look at themselves and say, what could I have done better than that? How can I make myself better for the next time so that that doesn't happen? Not all of them, but quite a lot would think like that. Men walk away thinking they're victims of a poor marriage, and that's it. You know, they don't look inward. They don't do the healing.
Yes, but I would rather be the person who takes that journey, that more painful journey.
Yeah.
Than the victim, the constant victim. Like I'd rather be right. Where did I do? What could I do?
How do we stop men from playing like the woman's victim when there's a divorce or a marriage breakup and heal themselves for the next time?
Well, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make a drink. I'm not that interested. See, when I like dating apps and stuff like that, I see if a guy is like, my ex is crazy, I'm like, bye, red flag. Woo.
Yeah.
Bye.
Your mate will say, my wife.
Yeah.
Yeah, she caused us to split up, or she didn't love me, or she wouldn't let me do this and that. And it's always the wife.
I'm just like, I am not listening. If you have, if I'm meeting a man and he's slagging off and portraying himself as like this angel saint, I'm like, see you later. Good luck with that one. He's fucking, he's not in any way.
Question: how many men have you met who you would say were their authentic selves?
Well, why do you think I'm single? How many dates have I been on?
I'm single.
Like, I've like had loads and loads of matches. Like I'm like, yeah, damn, I still got it. But I'm like, it doesn't, you can't go much further because they're very, it's on a very superficial level.
As soon as you talk to them, you discover that they're all the same.
No.
Well, healing wise, I find that they're all the same unauthentic person.
Well, I don't know. I think a lot of them are quite similar, and they're after to get their end away. Like they're after a lot of that. You know, you got to be like they've got a different relationship with that kind of. So you kind of have to be very clear on what you're after. But I definitely don't think they're all the same. But I would say that most that I'm coming across are not looking or not seeking or are not interested in the level of intimacy and connection that that I want, because I've created like a world I'm really content with, but I know what I want. But it seems that maybe it's Northern Irish man, I don't know, but I don't think I'm coming across many with real depth.
So like I said, most of them are the same when it comes to authenticity.
Yes.
Yeah.
But and it brings us
because
back
they won't do your healing work.
But it brings it back to God though, right? There's something I've thought recently called spirituality of religion. I have noticed that sometimes men of faith are better at that, are better at the inspection, are better at the work. And maybe it's because of prayer, or maybe it's because of those spiritual practices. I have thought recently I probably would have a lovely connection with a Christian man, a good possibly who's going through, you know, a Christian who's maybe going through a divorce and gone through that, or a good man of faith. And I know that might sound crazy, but I have noticed that there's a bit more integrity, morality, wholesome, and I mean that they don't just want to get their end away, because I find a lot of the site's quite sexually aggressive. Like a lot of them be like, you're really attractive, you're gorgeous, and all this here. And I'm like, I know. I'm like, I know. What have you got to offer me? And that's not what it's all about for me.
No. And that's mostly where it ends.
Do you think that's a sign of men needing healing, that they think sex is intimate, they think sex is like a deep connect, or they just don't care, they're just using women for kind of
men need healing. Men in general require healing, and they are very reluctant. A few men have come to me. I've been healing for 18 years, and I would say 5% would have been male in all those years. And the ones that did come, they show you what a healed man could be like. But there's not that many of them about. And I'm finding they're mostly the younger men now. The younger men are starting to understand. That they need to provide more than they have been. It's not just about sex. It's about love, compassion, caring, protection, providing. It's about all those things. But too many men seem to think as long as they're providing, that's it. But the younger generation coming through now have a totally different attitude. My own sons are different. You know? My sons will do the housework and the washing and the ironing and look after the kids and cook. I think nothing of it.
But Carol, like my marriage, my ex, like he's an incredible cook. He's a great cook, and he was really, really, like he was much better cook than me. I find I was judged badly. I was often judged as inadequate because he did a lot more of the cooking. So it reflected badly on me by women too. Like, man,
that's the problem.
Really judgmental that because of the like gender norms and gender rules.
Mhm,
So I know
mhm,
men like are getting a bit of a booting in this episode, and you know
mhm.
what? That's fine. But 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 also patriarchy. Women can be very patriarchal and misogynistic and
Absolutely,
reinforce
absolutely.
these
I had
expectations.
Yes, I had a conversation recently on Facebook with a man about Margaret Thatcher,
Uh-huh.
right? I can't remember how it came up, but it was about Margaret Thatcher and the wonderful things she'd done for this country. And I said, "Are you joking?" And he said, "But she's a strong and powerful woman." I said, "No, she wasn't. She was a perfect example of patriarchy." And they said, "Were you not proud of her?" And I said, "No, not at all. She destroyed the working classes. She destroyed the union. She ruined many, many things like social housing.
She took milk from the children.
She took milk from the children. And you want saying to me this is an example of a powerful woman?" So we have absolutely not.
That's a brilliant example of how they call them state feminists or liberal. How women who behave like men, they
Yeah.
give the illusion that there's equality. So they're
If they behave the same as.
yeah, they promote toxic masculinity, or they prove, or they dominate at all costs. So
Uh-huh.
it's like it's like whenever you get minorities in really powerful positions, and then it looks like it's inclusive, and the racism isn't as big.
Uh-huh.
Well, no, it's not a true representation of the prevailing.
Because they're not being their authentic selves. They are becoming the self that's required to take the power.
Yes. Yeah.
Which is a totally different thing altogether. If they were taking power as their authentic selves and sharing that power equally among those minorities to make life better for everyone,
yeah,
that's authentic. But to go into power and carry on as power has been is not of any use to anyone. So is Margaret Thatcher a powerful woman? In my eyes, no.
well, she was powerful, but was she a great, good
example of divine femininity?
No.
Absolutely not.
No, she wasn't. No, I think we can safely say no, she wasn't the divine feminine. Now, she was a woman who got to the top.
By being the same as.
Yeah, she was, and she made very hard choices, and she took that job where she was cold, she was hard, she was ruthless. That's not the divine. The divine feminine is powerful, but it's powerful. It's in a different way, in a way that is, indestructible, as in loving. It's compassionate. The divine feminine would have been, Maggie Thatcher would not have done that to coal miners. If Maggie Thatcher was a divine feminine, there would have, instead of taking the milk from the children, all school meals would have been provided for, all children would have been cared for, there would have been, all the miners would have been looked after, there would have been no shutting.
She would also have been looking at ways of preventing war rather than getting into wars. So she fought with everybody.
Yes,
that's
exactly.
Not
Yes, so the divine feminine is powerful in its kind of humanitarianism. It's connectivity, it's preserving life and caring for life.
Yeah.
So
that brings us to the divine feminine and the fact that all of us in spirituality need to have a balance of masculine and feminine.
Yes.
Now, I think some women are a good balance of masculine and feminine, and I know I am myself. I have both logic and caring, and I have both qualities. But men are very reluctant when you talk to them about their feminine side. They misunderstand that. And that, I think, is one of the issues that would make them more understanding if they could take on the balance of feminine and masculine.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I always find it quite interesting that women are called the more emotional,
Mm-hmm.
emotional, sex or gender or whatever way you
Yeah.
want, and the emotion irrational.
Uh-huh.
You're too emotional. They're irrational. Oh my God, they're crazy. Yet,
Uh-huh.
yet men are the most likely to murder,
Yeah.
are the most likely to beat people up, to get physically aggressive, to
Yeah.
do the really, really aggressive things, which of course are rooted in emotions. Of course
Yeah.
they're rooted in something.
But are they rooted in turning emotions inward rather than outward?
Or they rooted in control at all costs rather than
Yeah.
negotiation, compromise, and being
Yeah.
reasonable.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and also the suicide stats are that while women would be diagnosed and be
Mm-hmm.
treated for medical or mental health issues and mental poor health, or would be often associated with being mentally unwell,
Mm-hmm.
suicide rates show that men snap and
Are
they're
irrational and will have committed the act before that even gets a chance to be thought about.
yes. So I
Yeah.
often think that maybe that not that lack of or that shine away from emotional
Mm-hmm.
intelligence, really being maybe scared of their emotions.
Yeah.
One of the reasons that we have such extreme behaviors coming from
From
men,
me.
you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah. But at the same time, in our society, many women, although they're not committing suicide at the same rate, are on antidepressants
yeah,
when they present with any kind of emotional issue. It's
yeah,
here, take those tablets. It's not what exactly happened to cause this. It's just take those tablets and away you go and drug yourself.
yeah,
So even when women do talk about their emotions, because society is so patriarchal, they're not taken serious. It's just
yeah.
tablets.
But and that brings us back to our subject nicely. I'm just aware of our time too.
Mm-hmm.
Spirituality, like if you look at that, you're talking about the mind. Uh,
Uh-huh.
our services, they're not holistic in their approach
No.
for wellness.
No.
And that's where both of us have
Uh-huh.
found our joy, our wellness, our
Yeah.
purpose, our like after what
Mhm.
happened to me, I started this by talking about it where I was really badly abused and bullied for writing a blog,
Mhm.
being my
Mhm.
authentic self.
Yeah.
But it was because of my spirituality.
Yeah.
I connecting to just basically connecting to spiritual practices that I've been able to make
Mhm.
sense of that. I haven't been on medication for years. I have a great
Yeah.
life. I'm not, it doesn't mean that I don't experience trauma or I haven't experienced real sadness or
Mhm.
loss. It means that I find a way through it that isn't,
It
medicating
isn't
myself,
destructive.
but isn't, I find a way to engage with the emotional pain, to process
Mhm.
it, to find deep peace and
Yeah.
solace and understanding within myself through spiritual practices. So
Exactly. So spiritual practices are what's missing.
yeah,
They're what's missing in society. So
yeah,
we're back to it again. I think I talked one of the other nights about the body, mind, and soul, and in too many people, the soul is missing.
yes.
So we're back to the same place again.
So
So spirit, spirituality. It's the way to peace.
yeah,
I have never been in my life as peaceful as I have been the past few years. Never.
yes,
And there's nowhere out there that you're going to find that, not in medicine, not in the church, not in the education system. It's inside yourself. And until people turn inwards, they're going to keep fighting that battle out there when the battle's actually inside. So I think we'll end there. And that'll take us nicely to the topic the next time,
Yeah.
where we'll talk about spirituality, religion, and God.
Yeah. Cool.
Okay.
So that's lovely. So, oh yeah, peace. All we are saying. Give peace a chance. Next week, next
Absolutely.
episode.
Can I